So welcome back, everybody. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. If you watched the last episode, you noticed that behind me we've started putting siding up on the house. So today's episode is going to be about doing a little bit more of the siding that I just grabbed out of the pile. I just want to get a couple more runs up, and ultimately the last half of this video is going to be me explaining some things that happened off camera. A lot of y'all been looking for information to follow along with the house build, and we have three pretty substantial updates, I would say, of some good things that's happened, so I wanted to share that along with you. But first, like I said, let's get started, knock out a little bit more of this hardy board, and then this afternoon, once it gets really hot, I'm going to start another episode on wrapping the electrical up because, well, I've already called in for my electrical inspection, so literally in just a couple of days, it's going to happen. So I have got to get on the ball with that ASAP. All right, so we've got a few more runs up on the house now. That's good. I've got plenty of room to work my electrical. That was the ultimate goal. Plus, it is starting to get really hot. Our cool snap came and went just like that. So instead of sitting out here burning and blistering again today, we're going to do a couple more things in this episode. I have to finish pressure testing the pipes, so I want to get the pressure up really good on those to what code requires. And let's see here. Oh yeah, I got to tell you about those good things too. So let's go do a little more work, then we'll talk about what I have on my plate. All right, something else we need to be testing today while I'm out here working is the pressure test of the vent system. So if y'all watched several days ago, I pressurized my water system with 50 psi, and I am pleased to say we are still dead on the money at 50 psi. There is 0 leaks in my pressurized water system. Now, right before the inspector comes next week, I'm gonna go ahead and bump this on up to, I believe it's 80 psi that's required. I've got a specialized fitting here. Ordered these off Amazon. These are actually RV hose blowouts, so you can blow water out of a system. But I got them both ways. What's going to be cool about this is I can fill up a long hose with water, hook up my little bladder tank out there up to 80, 100 psi, whatever I need, and I can actually blow water into here, not pressurize this with air because it's supposed to be a water test, and run it on up to 80. So those fittings are really going to help me out there. I can also blow these lines completely clear now out with that as well. So that's a pretty neat feature. But what I've been waiting on is this test plug right here. So this plug has a rubberized bushing. You tighten this down and it cinches up, expands that bushing into this pipe. So now this was the only open vent line I have in the house. And the reason I need to seal that up is I have to water pressure test my vent system. So I climbed up on that ladder there that, thank goodness, did not fall down on me this time. And I've got a water hose up there in that vent stack that I put in. So we're about to cut this on right now, fill the entire vent system with water. And here's what's going to happen. Eventually I'm going to fill it up right to the very top, and then I'll occasionally go up there and watch that level. This is how we tested the entire sewage system when it was first installed. And if you see that water level dropping any, now it'll fluctuate some with temperature throughout the day, but if you start seeing it just steadily dropping and vanishing on you, you need to be checking all your fittings because you have got a leak somewhere. I've already had this system halfway filled up for days. I have found no leaks. The level has not dropped, but there's still a lot of fittings upstairs. So once I get that completely filled up, I can start walking the attic, everything else, and check and see if I see any leaks and see if we pass the test. Because obviously if you have a water leak, you have an air leak, which could potentially back up sewer gases into your home, and that's something you don't want. So we can hear the water entering the pipes. It sounds like it's already making it up to the attic. So we are almost filled up into the attic. Quite a bit of pipe to fill up there. And eventually what's going to happen, it's going to spill out right here. So I'll pull the hose out, then I'll top that off, and we're good to start checking for leaks. Okay, so here we are on the roof. I'm going to pull the hose out. I've got it barely trickling. All right, so now you can see what I've done. I have filled that pipe all the way to the top. So I'll continue to watch this over hours, really days. And if we see much fluctuation in that, like I said, it will go up and down with temperature. But if we see that start vanishing, we have got us a problem somewhere. I'll do a quick check, make sure I don't see nothing major, climb up on the roof and double check. All right, no leaks up here, nothing spewing out. All right, so while we're waiting for that leak test there to kind of settle and go walk around and check everything again, figured I'd talk to you about a few good things that's happened. Now, you probably can't see me because it's such a bright background, but who cares? You don't need to see me. All you need to do is hear and look at that beautiful view that we have right there. So for starters, I told you about the doors. It was going to be a delay. They had to be built, but turns out we can get those in 2 weeks. So we've already paid in full for those. They're claiming 2 week delivery time. That's awesome. Then the big concern was the windows. I told y'all finally had that company come back in town that I have been looking for. They gave me the option of a commercial window. They finally got back to me with a quote, and although this is the most expensive windows we'll probably ever buy in our life, believe it or not, they only quoted me about $90 to $100 more than the previous windows that I had quoted, and I was being told 4+ months on delivery. Now here's the cool thing. These guys went through all the trouble to match up the tint in the glass. I'm getting 1/4 inch double pane 1/4 inch glass. They call this a 1-inch window with a space in the middle that's argon filled, full aluminum powder coated window frames, like a much more substantial window, tempered glass, everything. I was very concerned about the glass strength, being that we're in a hurricane zone. Those are big open windows that can catch a lot of wind. Plus, hey, we've already been hit by one tornado. Hurricanes come through, they can throw stuff at the window. And the guy told me that tempered glass was something like 9 times stronger than your standard plate glass that most people put in a residential home. And he said most people put 1/8 inch glass in a residential home. I'm getting double 1/4 inch glass. So it's just a much more substantial window. But the cool thing is, I said all that to say, they quoted me 3 weeks on potential installation. So all that, a much more substantial window, much better framing, tinted. The last one was not matched to our other windows. The whole works for $100 more. And I went from 4+ months being quoted on delivery to 3 weeks. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I wanted to share that with y'all because a lot of y'all have been asking about the windows. It's been something I've been highly concerned with, because the last thing I want is to go through all this spray foam insulation, getting sheetrock out here, and then have an open house. I was concerned I wasn't going to be able to close up the doors and the windows. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to put sheetrock in there and have an open home that's getting moisture all in it. I'd probably have a mold and mildew nightmare. So now we officially have everything on the way to completely seal the house up. I already have all the other windows, so we're covered. That was an absolute blessing and something I was so excited to get the news about after I swallowed how much the windows are going to cost. Whew. And speaking of all this, we're going to share the cost and bill with y'all at the very end of this. And I'll go ahead and be the first to admit, we have blown our budget out of the water, but we have decided to go from a budget build, which is what this was originally slated for, to more of a dream home build, even though we know we're going to add on in the future. This isn't our true dream home, but we've decided not to cut any corners. That's why the framing is as robust as it is. These windows are as robust as they are. Custom fiberglass doors. We've decided to splurge a little. All the electrical that we've done, go ahead and do it once, do it right. And we've set ourselves up for easy future add-on to truly turn this into a dream home. So we'll share all that with you. Now, one more exciting piece of news that I want to share. Since we're doing a little bit of pressure testing today, y'all know I failed my gas line test. Well, we found the problem. So a lot of people have been very concerned about me running, well, gas lines in the house, because I know that's just not as common as it used to be, but gas appliances down here are very common. So we installed all these gas lines in the house. Well, I say all, 2 of them. One for the stove, one to go to the front porch, and we had a leak. We have a pressure gauge on the outside. Code requires that an inspector has to come out here and pressure test. Well, we started checking the pressure on these lines before I even called the inspector, and slowly overnight, it leaked down. So you see all this on the floor. That's the soapy material they put on all the fittings to try to find bubbles, air bubbles, leakage. They finally come back out and got to checking and checking and checking. And guess what the problem was? We're all human. We all make mistakes. I'm not getting onto them at all. I'm so thankful we found it. I was concerned that we had a crack in a line or something like that, even though they assured me their lines never leak because they're solid stainless lines. We checked all the fittings. He said these are top of the line fittings that normally never leak as well. And the guy was absolutely correct on all that. So believe it or not, it was this nipple right here. It was either the cap or the nipple. I was outside when he found it. It was only in hand tight. And what's crazy is it was holding back 30 PSI hand tight because he's got plumber's putty on there. That stuff is amazing. That speaks volumes for it. I think I'm going to start going to plumber's putty instead of Teflon tape. So he's spraying, he's checking all the fittings. He finally finds a little bubble, and turns out you could just unscrew this by hand. So it was very simple. We found no holes in the line, no failures in these type of crimp fittings, nothing. So that makes me feel good. That line is pressurized up to 30 PSI right now. That's above what it's even required to be at. I think you test them around 25, so we're close. But I think working pressure, because it's going to get stepped down the tank, is 1 to 2 PSI. So we're night and day above what it'll operate at. So no leaks in the fittings, no leaks in the lines. It was just human error. We all make mistakes. So I felt so good about that. Some of y'all been sending me concerned messages about leaking gas lines in your house and all. Sure, there's a risk with that, but my last home, my childhood home, had gas lines in it my entire childhood. I never once remember having a leak. It's just the way it is. You've got electrical lines and plumbing running the walls, gas lines. These are all potential failures and things that could happen. This is why we pressure test. This is why we leak test, and this is why we look for these things. So speaking of that, I'm gonna climb up top, check and see if that water level's dropped any, watch it throughout the day, and I'll let you know the results there. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up because I'm about to start another one. We're gonna dive right into rough end electrical because in 2 days, the inspector's coming for 5 different rough end inspections, and electrical is gonna be my biggest one. So I've got that video coming for y'all before long. The grounding, the panel box, all the stuff we have to do on the inside boxes. I'm about to be absolutely busy and swamped over the next couple days getting ready. Wish me luck. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.